Suffocated the Bears all night Monday. Let's break down how they did it. According to ESPN metrics using NFL Next Gen stats, the Rams had a pass rush win rate of 69%, their highest such rate in a game this season. The Rams got the Nick Foles all night, recording 4 sacks and 21 total pressures. The 21 pressures were their most in a game in the last 2 seasons. Poor Nick. Aaron Donald, as usual, led the way for the Rams, recording 7 pressures. Donald has 26 pressures this season, tied with Myles Garrett for most in the league. Overall, the Rams had a defensive efficiency of 94.1, their best mark in a game this season. And then this morning, Matt Nagy, Bears head coach, dealing with a lot of question marks.
We have a lot of confidence, and I have a lot of confidence in Nick right now with where he's at. Again, this is a process for us to work through, and it's not just one person. It's really not. And we think that I know from yesterday, decision-making wise and where he's at, I thought he did a good job.
Where do you feel you are as a play caller? And is that a role that you would consider giving up to Bill Lazor or somebody else on staff?
Yeah, like I said, I always I look at all that, and that's the very first thing that I look at is that right now where we're at, that's not where we think it's at. I'll say this too. When you're in a little bit of a rut like we are, a lot of bit of a rut like we are right now, you have to look at everything.
Now, earlier this morning, Orlovsky had this to say about the Rams' win over the Bears, tweeting out after rewatching the Monday Night Football game between the Rams and Bears, the biggest takeaway, the coaching gap between McVay and Nagy is enormous, like enormous, whatever you think it is, times it by 10. You could have just voiced it and read it to us, right? Because Dan is back with us. Right? All right, you tweeted that before we heard from Nagy, saying he will continue calling plays. He will continue to stick with Foles at quarterback. What's your reaction to the Bears not changing things up here offensively?
Yeah, they have to. I mean, this is not just a rut of this year. I mean, this rut goes back to last year, Kev. I remember talking about it to you ad nauseum. Like, this is what happened last night. You watched Sean McVay with the Rams, and when it comes to the play calling, he knows exactly who they are. And so that's all they do. Like, they do a ton of pre-snap motion. They move the pocket a ton. They use tempo, because that's what they do really well. And he never asks that football team and their quarterback, Jared Goff, to drop back pass, because it's not what they do well. I mean, that is the foundational aspect of really good coaching. And Matt Nagy, when you watch that game, they don't do anything to help their players. Like, they should run tempo on offense all the time. You know this.
Oh, yeah.
Nick Foles does it really well. Last night, they run tempo for a couple plays, and then they just stop it for absolutely no reason. Like, that's an example of a coach not doing the things that they do really well. And then they'll go for a stretch where the Bears will play drop-back football. The Bears are built a lot like the Rams, so to speak. The quarterback likes to be out of the pocket. The offensive line's not great at it. And they'll just drop back pass and go, hey, Nick, play this way. That's not what you're good at. A coach should never ask you to do the things that you're not good at, especially against a team that has Aaron Donald doing it. And so that's when you watch that game. That's the biggest takeaway. It's like, man, Sean McVay knows exactly who they are. And Matt Nagy is still struggling to figure out what the Bears are good at, how to do it a ton, and what the Bears struggle with. And that is way bigger than just Nick Foles has got to play better or Mitchell Trubisky's got to play better. That goes to the organization going, you know what? Our head coach right now isn't doing a good enough job for our players.
Take advantage of your talent. We know this. Foles loves up-tempo. We'll see if that changes here as the Bears.
And now we're going to take you to Dallas. Look, we know Dak is out. Zeke has fumbled a lot. Dalton has a concussion. And news today, Dallas has traded their defensive end, Everson Griffin, to the Lions. So sure, there are a lot of issues in Dallas, including that 2-5 record. But following the Cowboys' 25-3 loss to the Washington football team, don't blame leadership, at least according to Jerry Jones.
Does your team have a leadership void?
Where in the offensive line, where you,
just overall, when these,
but seriously, where would you have a leadership void? Is it an experience void? Is it a talent void? Is it a leadership void? I'm not trying to be cute here. The answer is no. The answer is no.
I'm asking.
There's not a. Well, just shut up and let me answer. No,
Jerry. When you go into the locker room, what I'm asking is, do you see the intangibles?
You're not asking me that. I gave you the answer. When I go into the locker room, there's no leadership void in my eyes.
Okay.
Now that's your answer. Let's move on.
Let's move on. Clearly, he's calm, collected, and not at all irritated,
well.
Mr. Orlovsky. You hear what Jerry Jones says, and you think what?
Dak Prescott is realizing that this organization over the past couple weeks has in many ways been exposed. You know, we talk about Dak and the Cowboys, and oftentimes it's been like the financial ramifications of the contract, right? And it's, well, the Cowboys offered him a deal, and Dak said no. Well, maybe Dak knew more about this organization than we did, because he's got to be sitting there going, wait, maybe this place isn't right for me in my future. As you watch this, not only the team, but the organization just collapse. And how can he sit there and go, listen, I'm not there, and that place has fallen apart in more ways than just on the football field. And so he's got to be sitting there going, maybe that's not the place for me. Maybe that's not the coaching staff for me. And it's not just a one-year fix. Like, this is not, hey, when we get Dak Prescott back, everything's going to be really good. And so I think Dak is kind of taking kind of an evaluation of everything and going, you know what? Maybe I did think 5 weeks ago that I would be a Cowboy next year. But he's got every right to sit there and go, like Kirk Cousins did with the Washington football team. That place isn't right for my future. And in many ways, that organization has been exposed for way bigger issues than just the contract situation with the quarterback.
They still have the benefit, though, of playing in the NFC East, and we'll see another great matchup Sunday night. No offense, but it is against your Eagles there.